And right now, here on CBSN New York, we are standing by for the demolition of the eastern portion of the old Tappan Zee Bridge. That bridge is set to come down with explosive. It's in just a few minutes from now. Joining me here in studio, CBSN New York's Denis. This is a really big deal for people in the lower Hudson Valley area today.
You know, absolutely. So when you think about the Tappan Zee Bridge, when it was constructed and erected back in 1955, you take a look at how it transformed the landscape, especially for commuters between Rockland and Westchester County. It was the longest bridge in New York State. We're talking 3 miles long. And so when you see that for so many years, it changed the way people commute and really was something that became accustomed to seeing in the Hudson River. This is a really big day.
It is, and a lot of people are standing by and watching. And in preparation for the demolition, we should mention the thruway was closed a short time ago, about 10 o'clock this morning, expected to remain closed for about 45 minutes. So southbound at exit 11 in Nyack and northbound at exit 9 in Tarrytown. So we are expecting some severe delays in both directions on I-87, 287, and surrounding roadways. We want to head over to reporter Jenna DeAngelis, who is live watching all of this go down. Jenna, can you describe for us what the scene is like where you are?
As you can imagine, a lot of anticipation to this very moment. There are crowds of people waiting. I have to say, we've been here all morning and people started coming as early as 5:30 to see this happen. It's a historic moment. And as you said, it was supposed to happen on Saturday, but was rescheduled due to high winds. And speaking of which, these people are brave out here. It is freezing. I have my hand out of a glove because I want to record this historic moment, and my hand is just about frostbite. I'm here with a woman named Janet. Janet, how do you feel about all of this?
I feel really sad. I moved to Rockland County in 1968, and I lived in Westchester County for 15 years, and I watched my father drive across the bridge to go to work to get on the train, and I just feel really sad. I can't believe they're going to blow up such a part of my history and growing upness.
And you know, I know they said they rescheduled this from Saturday. A lot of people couldn't be out to see it, but you actually are lucky you work right in this area.
Yes, I work right here on the river, and as I said, Rockland is very special to me, and Westchester is very special to me. And my father, who's 95 now, like I said, he drove across that bridge forever, and so have I. And it's sad. I wish they had used it as some place to walk or had kept it up.
What do you think of the crowds here right now?
I can't believe how many people are standing here in the freezing cold, because it is freezing, and we are on the water, and that makes it even more cold. And it was supposed to happen at 10, and now it's 10:30, and it still hasn't happened.
Well, it looks like we'll be waiting out here freezing a bit, but it's worth it, right? A historic moment.
It's definitely worth it.
All right, we'll send it back to you.
And Jenna,
guys
I know
in the
you were
studio.
talking about. Jenna, this is Janelle back in the studio. I know you were talking with somebody who said she's actually celebrating her birthday there. Tell us a little bit about her.
So there was a woman who came here. They were scheduled to come Saturday from Long Island. They ended up still coming today, and she had her 83-year-old mother with her celebrating her birthday. Talk about starting your birthday with a bang, right? She said she doesn't know how she's going to top it next year.
Well, yeah, that is going to be hard to top, certainly, Jenna. All right, well, stay warm and keep us posted how it goes with those viewers out there. And again, we are taking a live look right now at the eastern portion of the Tappan Zee Bridge that is set to come down shortly. Next, joining us on the phone, we have Roger Panetta, Professor Emeritus at Fordham University, a historian who knows a lot about this bridge. Thank you so much for joining us. Just tell us about the history of what this means. This bridge has been up since 1955. To watch it come down here, Roger, talk to us a little bit about that.
Janelle, first, I'm sorry I'm not with you because it is a historic moment, and it reminds us of what Washington Irving said about New York. It's such an up and down city and state, and I think Janet's comments about it coming down as a sad moment is really representative of the sort of vitality of the city. This is a great public works project, and like many of the public works projects from the post-war period, had a lifespan of about 50 to 60 years and had to be replaced. But it was a remarkable example of the hothouse creation of a suburb. Rockland County is a hothouse suburb, and it grew rapidly because of the bridge. The bridge was an extension of the New York State thruway system, which is really a post-World War II link in an effort to really keep the prosperity of the Depression, of the New Deal period going. And so the government, the New York State government, committed itself to building that bridge, to linking parts of the state with the city, and creating economic connections that would keep the economy booming. And I think it's a very good reminder to us right now of the vitality and the importance of public works projects like this. And the durability of it and the replacement of it really reminds us of just how accurate an assessment of the project that was. But Rockland was not prepared for the bridge. It was really a hothouse suburb. As many American suburbs were, they grew very rapidly, didn't have the infrastructure to support it, but it quickly adjusted itself. And I think the second bridge is a sign to us of just how embedded that is now in our consciousness. It's part of the suburbanization of New York City, and I think the bridge is a monument to that.
All right, Roger, and we are again looking at live pictures of the eastern portion of the old Tappan Zee Bridge that's scheduled to come down any moment now. We were told that we should expect this to happen about 10:32 a.m., so we are now approaching 10:33, so we'll see when this actually takes place. But it's all supposed to be really quick. We have Alex Denis here on set with us.
State officials are going to be calling this demolition a controlled explosion. So if you're in the area, you're going to expect to hear a brief, loud noise. They're calling it comparable to a single set of fireworks. So if you have maybe any animals in the area, just get ready. But they said that the original plan was to deconstruct this piece by piece, but that it was so unstable, they decided that they needed to take this down. You know, the plan was that they didn't want to disrupt any of the wildlife underneath. But, you know, things change, and this is now what we're watching history unfold.
Yeah, that's right. And we're told that this explosion will take just about 30 seconds, so it will be fairly quick. You know, again, as Jenna was saying earlier, our reporter in the field, she was saying a lot of people are standing by and watching, waiting with anticipation as this structure is set to come down.
So the name Tappan Zee, I thought it was really interesting. It was named for the American Indian tribe from the area called Tappen, and Zee being the Dutch word for sea. So really indicative of the area and bridging of those two areas as far as the land, the sea, and then the land. But something else I found really interesting about this is the location that was chosen, 25 miles north of the city, because it was just out of the Port Authority's influence when it comes to tolling. So it ensured that the revenue collected from the tolls at the time back in 1955 would then go to the New York State Thruway Authority that was just enacted just instead of the Port Authority. So I thought that was a
that
really
is an interesting fact. And you know, you can see the new Tappan Zee, the Mario Cuomo Bridge, I should say, behind the old structure there. This has been a long time in the works. You know, back in 2016, we were told that about 140,000 vehicles traveled over the old Tappan Zee daily, and it was just not meant to withstand that level of traffic, which is why Governor Cuomo, and at the time Westchester County Executive Rob Astorino, were among the ones really leading the effort to get this new bridge constructed. And the new bridge construction did begin in 2013, and one of the spans, the twin spans, opened in 2017. So this is this final bit of the old bridge that is expected again to come down any time now, momentarily. You can see sort of the barges set up there.
It's hard to believe that that landscape is going to be so different, you know, growing up for you, especially in the area too, watching this come down. It is it's emotional for some people, as they said, as they watch their childhood, a scene from what they've recognized and realized for decades, you know, it's going to be different.
That's right. So many people use that bridge to get between Westchester and Rockland counties. And we've been joined here on the phone with Roger Panetta, again, Professor Emeritus at Fordham University, who knows a lot about the history of this bridge. Roger, you know, when it opened in 1955, we were talking about this a little bit ago, the significance of such a large span, it was huge.
The bridge is even older than what we had been talking about. In the 1930s, as part of the New Deal of public works ideas, people in the state floated the notion, particularly local legislators from Rockland County, of the bridge. And there was terrific resistance led by Maxwell Anderson, who was a playwright living in an artist colony in Rockland. And he really understood the way in which the bridge would change the nature of Rockland from a rural park-like to a suburban community, and protested. And they were successful in holding off the bridge. But it took the Thruway, which the New York State Thruway Authority, which provided the catalyst to really fight through that local political opposition. So the Thruway Bridge, the Tappan Zee Bridge you're talking about now, which is coming down, is really the second incarnation of the idea. And what we're now looking at is the third incarnation sitting in front of us. But it has an old history, and it's very much tied to the whole nature of what Rockland County is going to be. A park-like suburb of the lows of New York City, or is it going to be another suburban bedroom community? Rockland County felt very keenly that the bridge was going to make it Westchester's equal. And for a long time, it felt that it was the inferior borough. It produced farm products for New York City. Those began to disappear. And even New York's reach now for food is further away from its immediate neighborhoods. That's an example of why that happens. You change the nature of communities that are connected to each other. And I think in all bridges, the key point there is to look at the two linking communities, the way Tarrytown, New City, and Nyack changed as a result of the bridge building, before and after those.
All right. And again, we are looking at these live pictures now of the eastern, a portion of the eastern span, the last remaining portion that's left here of the old Tappan Zee Bridge, set to come down with explosives any minute now. Now, this was originally supposed to happen on Saturday morning, but because of the high winds that we'd had at the latter part of last week, this was postponed till today. A lot of people were asking, why a Tuesday morning? Why this time? Well, we're told that a lot of factors went into this, including traffic, the weather conditions. They also had to look into Metro North train schedules. And of course, this coming weekend is Martin Luther King weekend, and there is the possibility of some messy weather. So they figured that today was the safest bet in terms of going ahead with the demolition here this morning. So
and let's talk about some street closures, right? Because if you are trying to travel on the New York State Thruway, it is closed in both directions. So the Rockland side closure is right around exit 11 in Nyack. The Westchester side closure is at exit 9 in Tarrytown. So we spoke to some city officials who have said that the traffic will be reopened once the surrounding area is deemed safe. They don't expect that that's going to take too much time, but if you're trying to make your way to the area, the George Washington Bridge is an option. It's about 14 miles south of here. You can head north 17 miles or so to the Bear Mountain Bridge. So you do have some options, but they expect, that you're going to have some company as you make your way out. But it is a historic moment, maybe worth sitting in traffic and just chatting about.
And speaking of chatting about, we have Jim Smith, who is in Chopper 2 right now, flying above all of this that's unfolding. And Jim, I know you have flown this route over the Tappan Zee Bridge for years. What's it like from your perspective to watch this historic day?
Demolitions, how precise they can be and how exact they can drop something as large as a bridge to an exact spot where the engineers want it to fall. What we can tell you, what we've seen so far this morning was that the traffic was stopped about 25 minutes ago. We saw state troopers on the Westchester side of the Thruway stop the northbound traffic at exit 9, and then soon after, all of the traffic coming southbound stopped coming over the new bridge, the Mario Cuomo Tappan Zee Bridge. That was stopped about 25 minutes ago. And of course, there are those detours set up, closures to keep all traffic off the bridge. We saw some of the construction workers, engineers, demolition experts walking around on the new structure as well as the shoreline. And as we waited for this moment to come for the eastern portion of the bridge to come down, the old bridge. Now, what we are looking at is the side that is closer to the Westchester shoreline. There are two portions of what were referred to as the superstructure, the cantilever bridge portion that were left, and of course the one was too unstable to be brought down by conventional demolition means, so that's why we have the controlled explosion. There is also an identical portion just a few hundred feet away that will be brought down at a later time. Another thing you may notice at the bottom of the screen, just underneath the bridge, there's a bunch of orange buoys. We understand that netting was put in the river to help with the falling debris, to help with the cleanup afterwards when the bridge is brought down. Janelle, back to you.
Okay, thanks so much, Jim Smith in Chopper 2 over what we're waiting for, the explosion of the final piece of the eastern span of the old Tappan Zee Bridge. And as Jim mentioned, he said there is some netting at the bottom of the Hudson River there that will catch some of the debris as it falls. We're also told that a marine salvage crew will also go in, and then they'll remove material from the river over the following weeks to make sure that it doesn't affect the marine life there. But, a lot went into this today. I remember actually covering, back in 2013, covering the groundbreaking on the new Tappan Zee Bridge, and what a moment that was back then. So to watch this come full circle, it's really significant, especially for the people who live in that community. We want to also mention our reporter, Jenna DeAngelis. She's in the field there. She was saying she's surrounded by a lot of people who are watching this happen live, just really Some of them sad.
And you know what? When I was listening to reports on Saturday about all of the viewing parties, you were listening to some of the owners of the restaurants on the water saying that they were booked solid. People wanted to be in there to see this historic moment. They had grown up with this bridge, traveled this bridge, and so that was something that they just didn't have enough seats because so many people wanted to come and watch it.
And be part of this history. And when it was announced that this new bridge was going up, the new Tappan Zee Bridge, the Mario Cuomo Bridge was going up, there was a lot of controversy about it. I remember there were dozens and dozens of public meetings with people discussing, is this a good idea? The people who live in that area who are most affected, they were concerned about the construction noise. A lot of them had really great views of the river and the new spans, those twin spans. They were concerned about their property values going down because their views, some of them, are now obstructed because of this new structure. But at the end of the day,
it's a testament to our growing area.
Right.
You have so many people moving here. It is the greatest city in the world, and I wouldn't even say arguably. So if you're traveling there, we talk about it in traffic every morning, the amount of people that travel between Westchester and Rockland County. It's really a testament of the times.
Yeah, and that's right.
A 3-mile-long span. Oh, are you getting word of something about to happen?
Yeah, no, that's right. I was just going to say that our reporter Jenna DeAngelis is there at the scene, joined by a lot of people who are watching this unfold there. Jenna, tell us what it's like where you are.
Well, I'm in a sea of people. A lot of people are standing here just waiting for this moment, patiently waiting in the cold. It is very cold out here. I give these people a lot of credit. I'm standing with a man named Tim. He's from Tarrytown. How do you feel about all this? We're both actually holding our cell phones up waiting for this to happen. Tim, what do you think of this?
I think it's an amazing day. It's a beautiful bridge. It's a beautiful project. It went really well, it looks like, and it's going to be great for the Hudson Valley.
Talk to me about you. You've lived in this area a long time. Talk to me about, this is a historic moment.
Very historic moment. I mean, I grew up not far from the bridge and went to bed every day and woke up every day next to it and can hear it and have lived with it. And it's kind of like losing a little bit part of your family around here.
What do you think of the crowd here? Does this surprise you?
No, it's not surprising, but except for the fact that it's so cold that, yeah, that's a little surprising. But a lot of people have interest in this.
Let's give a little weather report. You said it's so cold. How cold is it out here?
My forehead is frozen. It's pretty cold.
So overall, how do you feel just looking at this, taking in this moment? You're holding up your cell phone, ready to record it.
Yeah, I've been holding it up for about 20 minutes now, so I'm getting a little tired. But it's an amazing thing. It's going to be really cool to see when it's done.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, a lot of people out here, we spoke to a woman earlier who works right near this view over the bridge, and she said it's a sad moment because she crossed this bridge her entire life. But exciting moment, an exciting time for people out here. We're going to stand by with our cell phones up, waiting for this to happen. For now, Janelle and Alex, we'll send it back to you guys.
Yeah, Jenna, a lot of mixed emotion out there this morning. Initially, we were told that this would happen between 10 and 10:15 this morning. Then we were told 10:30. Now it is 10:45. So everybody is waited with, I guess, bated breath to see when this is going to happen. But it could happen any moment now.
So author Roger Panetta has another story about when the Tappan Zee Bridge first opened. Roger, we can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
The original construction of the bridge really caught the imagination of people on both sides of the river. And there was a lot of chronicling, photographing, watching. The technology used to build the bridge was borrowed from the Second World War pontoon strategies. Sections of the bridge were floated out and put together. And so even the structures, the low end of the bridge, away from the cantilever sections that run toward Tarrytown, those essentially borrowed from World War II strategies. People were quite fascinated by it, so there was a lot of observation. And I think if the spectators today could reach back through time, they could connect to those people who really, with great excitement, attended the first opening when Governor Averill Harriman supervised and really acknowledged and honored that day. There was a day before some young man attempted to get across the bridge, to be the first person to cross the bridge before any public traffic had commenced, and he thought it was a very daring thing.
It's incredible to think that 63 years ago, it was almost the same excitement, but for a different way, right? You think of the juxtaposition of the people there excited to see this erected, and now everyone lining the Hudson.
That's so true, and that's so true. And as I was saying earlier, not everybody was on board with this new bridge. It's quite an impressive structure to see it there dwarfing the old eastern span that's about to come down any moment now, but it's quite a historic day.
And so we are waiting for this demolition. They are calling it a controlled explosion. So they are saying, state officials are saying that it's going to be a brief, loud noise comparable to a single set of fireworks. So that's what you can expect if you're watching through the area. And then it should be just like that.
Really quick. It's only supposed to last about 30 seconds is what we were told. So if you blink, you may miss it.
You won't miss the traffic in the area. So let's remind you, if in fact you do have to travel here within the next hour or so, we definitely have some closures. The Rockland side closure is going to be right around exit 11 in Nyack, and the Westchester side closure will be at exit 9 in Terrytown. All traffic's going to be reopened once the surrounding area is deemed safe. But in the meantime, if you need to travel in and around the area, 14 miles south of you, you may know the George Washington Bridge is there. A little farther north, you'd have to travel 17 miles out of your way, but you have the Bear Mountain Bridge. So those are the options as you make your way out right now. But we've talked to Jim Smith in Chopper 2 a little bit ago. He said he was already seeing some traffic.
Yeah, and I guess if you have the time, you have the luxury of pulling over and getting a spot along the Hudson River to watch this happen. You know, it's something that you don't often see. And as our reporter Jenna DeAngelis in the field was telling us, there have been people gathering for hours in the cold, freezing, waiting for this to happen. It was set to happen around 10 o'clock this morning. Obviously, they are running a bit behind schedule, but we are standing by. This is expected to happen momentarily. We're going to head back to Jim Smith, who is over the scene of all of this in Chopper 2. Jim, what can you tell us?
As we stand by waiting for the controlled explosion, the demolition of the bridge, again, we mentioned that traffic was stopped just over a half hour now on the New York State Thruway. Many people expected to be closed a little bit earlier, and then that standpoint possibly reopen earlier as well. But since the explosion has not taken place as of yet, you are planning on heading out to the area. You can try to avoid the area if possible, the George Washington Bridge, the Bear Mountain Bridge, and even going as far as up to the Newburgh Beacon Bridge, Interstate 84, as we wait for this process to take place. Earlier we saw traffic stopped, many officials along the shoreline checking things out. Now, at this point, we don't know if there is a reason for the delay in terms of an issue, or this is just the normal process. When we have these controlled explosions, these type of demolitions, there's a checklist that the officials have to go through. They have to make sure that all of the traffic was stopped, that the bridge is completely cleared, a whole checklist of items that need to be done to make sure that everything is done safely before they can proceed. So again, as we wait for the eastern portion of the old Tappan Zee Bridge to be brought down, this is the situation up here over the Hudson River.
And Jim, talking about delays, as we've said, they are a bit behind schedule here. How long have you been circling in Chopper 2 around this area?
We have been over the scene now for about 45 to 50 minutes. Again, about 35 minutes ago, that is when the traffic was stopped. I can tell you that the traffic on the northbound side of the Thruway is now beginning to back up into exit 9 in Tarrytown. Earlier, there were just some minor delays, but now, since many more vehicles have accumulated in the closure over the last half hour, that traffic is beginning to back up, and I would imagine a similar type story is happening over on the Rockland side.
And Jim, we just want to ask you quickly, from your vantage point, you could probably see some of the boats and the personnel surrounding the bridge area. Tell us what you can see from up there in Chopper 2.
Yeah, right now we're trying to keep the camera on the bridge since the bridge could be brought down any second, but there are numerous boats as well in the Hudson River in terms of police, the Coast Guard, possibly even some fire boats. We understand that marine traffic was going to be stopped in the area as well. That's understandable with what's happening here, but about a half mile south of the bridge, we can see about 10 official boats, we'll call them. Again, the Coast Guard, police, and some boats probably carrying people in official capacity, all related to the bridge being brought down.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
So Jim, this is Alex. I had some question about the crews taking precautions to ensure that the demolition of the old Tappan Zee Bridge didn't affect the new structure of the Mario Cuomo Bridge. You explained a little bit earlier about some of the buoys and such that you saw. Can you just explain that again? Like, how will they ensure that this new structure isn't going to be affected?
Yeah, what we understand is that these orange buoys underneath the bridge, there's netting attached to those buoys that is to help control the debris when it all drops down into the river. So that is one step they have taken to help keep things clean, if you want to call it that, when the old bridge is brought down.
And there it goes, Jim.
There it goes.
Yeah, you see it go down. Wow.
Unbelievable, just like that.
Just like that. Just a few seconds, and you see the last portions, the final portions of the old Tappan Zee Bridge, the eastern span, coming down into the Hudson River there, as plumes of smoke come through the water. And we can still see actually the very top of the span peeking through the Hudson River there. But what an incredible scene to see that come down.
Jim, were you able to hear the loud bang? I'm sure you were. We couldn't hear it through your mic. How was it?
At pretty much the snap of a finger, that's what it seemed like. A few flashes, a little bit of smoke, and the bridge went down into the river. Very quick process. Again, it's, as I mentioned earlier, it's amazing with these controlled explosions, these demolition projects, how precise they can be. The bridge came down exactly, it appears to come down exactly where they wanted it, or at least very close. It does not appear to be anywhere near the new bridge. That is one thing that will be checked out before traffic is allowed to resume over the new bridge. Engineers will go out there shortly and inspect the new bridge for any damage and to make sure that everything is safe in terms of the debris now in the river. But amazing to watch, again, how quickly it happens and how precise it can be.
Yeah, that's right. 63 years of history coming down in just a few seconds with the explosion of that final portion of the eastern span of the Tappan Zee Bridge. And you can see the new Mario Cuomo Bridge in its shadow there right behind it. The end of an era for the Westchester and Rockland County communities. So many people have, spent countless hours, commuting hours of their lives, right? Stuck on that bridge, driving across that bridge. People were along the Hudson River watching this moment unfold here, but quite a moment, Alex.
The landscape is completely different now that we see that old Tappan Zee Bridge is now gone and only the Mario Cuomo Bridge stands erect. I'm interested to hear from Jenna DeAngelis about the people around her. I don't know if Jenna is around or if she can hear us, but what was the excitement like? I'm sure that people, were there cheers? Were they ready for it? Is her arm still tired from videoing it? Like, what do they have going on?
Are you there, Jenna?
Oh, she may be busy talking to people out on the scene.
But she was saying people were lined up there for hours waiting for this. This was originally supposed to happen Saturday, but because of the weather conditions, it was postponed
So I
until
think
today.
what you're looking at right now are those emergency crews. We had heard that state officials were going to be sent out immediately after, which they are, to double check the structure to make sure that everything was sound, and if it was approved and okayed, traffic then would be allowed to flow back across the new span.
Right, and we've been joined this morning here on the phone by Roger Panetta, Professor Emeritus of Fordham University, who knows a whole lot about this bridge. Roger, tell us from where you are, what was that like to know that final bit of history is now in the Hudson River?
Well, first I want to report the recognition that it is a moment of history. I think sometimes these things happen so fast we don't stop and pause, and this is a good moment for us to think about that. This bridge is a testimony, a kind of monument to the automobile. It speaks to the dominance and the power of the automobile in post-war World War II America and the way in which it's so central now even to our own culture. And so it's really bypassing the railroad age, but it embodies the sort of culmination of the automobile age in the post-war period. And Rockland, and it's not just Rockland County and Westchester or Nyack and Tarrytown, but this bridge really has tethers that are regional. And when the Tappan Zee was conceived as part of the thruway, it was also thought of part of the regional economy reaching into the middle Atlantic states. And we shouldn't forget that it does have a far extent that ties New York City to other economies and ties New England to the middle Atlantic states.
Yeah, and quite remarkable. So many people who have watched this explosion here this morning, some of them, they were youngsters when this bridge was, the old bridge was erected in 1955. 63 years it stood, connecting Westchester and Rockland counties. So for some people who are watching this, this was an emotional day to watch history come down. But again, it's, yeah, go ahead, Roger.
And I think it takes me back to Washington Irving. In the early 19th century, New York was an up-and-down city. And it's just a remarkable moment. The old bridge is down and the new bridge is up. And we seem to be able to, we understand that. And frequently we're disrespectful of the past, but here it was a nice substitution. The bridge, which had outlived its technological usefulness, was replaced by a new one. I think that's so New York. It's so much part of our spirit and the driving force of the way we see the world and the energy we bring to those things.
All right,
It is a testament to the spirit, truly, of New York, how it continues to grow and evolve. But I think you have more video to show us.
Yeah, we want to replay that moment that it happened a short time ago. That last portion of the eastern span of the Tappan Zee Bridge coming down. It was, I mean, what did you think,
Just
Alex?
like
You
this.
cover traffic across the region for many years, and to watch it come down for you.
And I feel like people have a love-hate relationship with the Tappan Zee Bridge, right? You're either flowing over it, looking at how beautiful it looks on either side, of course, and in the fall, you're greeted by, the beautiful colors of the trees, or you're stuck in traffic and you're greeted by the red light, brake light as you make your way across. But I think they did
That's
see
right. They
that
queued
video,
up that video
ready to
of the
go.
moment that it happened. Let's take a look at it. Again, here it goes.
Done.
And there you just see it just crashes, plunges down into the Hudson River in a matter of seconds.
The
really,
precision really is incredible to see, though, how they're able to do that.
that is so true. And so what happens now? We're told that a marine salvage crew, they will be going in and removing material from the river to make sure they cause the least amount of disruption to the marine life there. And we're hoping, again, I'm sure drivers too, hoping that traffic will resume shortly across the Mario Cuomo Bridge. But an incredible morning here on CBSN New York, watching that unfold here live. Really, really incredible history.